Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Aura. We would like to thank you for joining us this evening for the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce Kegs Issues. Our program this evening is about to begin, and we would like to invite you to find a seat at this time. We remind you once again that the balcony is open upstairs, complete with bathrooms, a full bar, and great seating. The stairs are on the far side of the level with the pink lights across from the elevator. And now, please welcome to the stage the CEO of the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce, Quincy Hensel.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Kegs and Issues. My name's Quincy Hensel. I'm the CEO of the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce, and we're so excited you are here to join us as we kick off our second season of Kegs and Issues. As many of you know, last year was our inaugural year for this event, and it's really become what we'd hoped it would become, and that's a celebration of what makes Portland, Portland. I know it's no secret to the people in this room, but Portland was recently named Bon Appetit's Restaurant City of the Year. Round of applause for Portland. And you know, Portland is also a hub of innovation, startups, technology, and tradition, so it makes sense that here we're pairing Maine's startup culture with the beer scene and celebrating what makes the Portland region so special, while keeping an eye out on the horizon for other opportunities. We have an incredible speaker getting ready to take the stage this evening who really embodies the mixing of the Maine tradition with cutting-edge innovation, and that's what Kegs and Issues is about. Now, we wouldn't be here tonight in this fabulous space, each of us with a cold drink in our hand, without our sponsors of Kegs and Issues. A huge thank you to our presenting sponsors of Kegs and Issues this season. They are Seaport Credit Union, WEX, Fairpoint, and Baker Newman Noyes. A round of applause, please, for our presenting sponsors. Also joining us this season as a cooperating sponsor is Moody's Collision Center. Thank you, Moody's, for joining us as well. And I'd love to give a shout out to our incredible member breweries. Now, this list keeps growing each and every event, which is so awesome. Our member breweries are Allagash, Foulmouth, Four River Foundation, Gagan Brothers, Gritty's, Mass Landing, None Such Brewing, Rising Tide, Shipyard, and Sea Dog. We also have wineries to include in our member list, and our member wineries are Sweetgrass Winery and Cellar Door. And we have distillery members to include, and those are New England Distilling and Maine Craft Distilling. Our exclusive media sponsors of Kegs and Issues are State 23 Media, WCSH Channel 6, and Town Square Media. This year, we're also excited to pair with Portland's 4 sports teams. And tonight, we're happy to have representatives with us from the Maine Mariners hockey team, who start their season October 13th. We're gonna hear a little bit more from them at the end of our presentation. In an effort to get all of this information in your inbox each and every month, we encourage you to sign up for our Hop Forward newsletter. That's our newest newsletter. You can find everything Kegs and Issues related. You can also get a feature of our tap list from each member brewery. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our Chamber's special community sponsors, Anthem Blue Cross, University of Southern Maine, Spectrum Healthcare, and Southern Maine Community College. Those 4 support us in all of our Chamber endeavors. And finally, I'd like to thank Aura for welcoming us into their space every quarter. This space is pretty fantastic, and we feel very honored to be able to share our Kegs and Issues series with the Aura family. So now on to the presentation. At this time, I would like to invite to the stage Denton Benway. Denton is Baker Newman Noyes' Managing Principal-elect. Please welcome Denton.
Good afternoon, Aura. How we doing? You guys can do better than that. There's almost 300 of you. That is embarrassing. How we doing? Much better. So as Quincy mentioned, my name is Dayton Benway. I'm the Managing Principal-elect of Baker Newman Noyes, And you might wonder what the elect means. Well, the elect means I get to do cool things like this until January when I actually take over control of the firm. So that's what I'll assume control as the managing principal. I want to thank the Chamber for having us today. This is a great event, and we are really excited to be here. We're longtime supporters of Eggs and Issues, and when we got the chance to be involved here, I think we made the right choice because Kegs is way more my speed than eggs. Even though everybody loves a good egg, I'm much better with Kegs. I also want to thank from BNN Connor Smart, who is he's been on the committee that helps plan these events since the beginning, and he's in our tax practice. And really want to thank Connor. He's somewhere in the audience there. So thanks, Connor. If I leave you guys with anything today, it's this: people matter. At BNN, we're all about people. Our clients, our professionals, and our community. But before I go any further, how many people think BNN is a law firm? Excellent. Well, easy mistake to make, right? There's a lot of buildings in town. There's a lot of names and letters on them. Easy mistake to make. How many lawyers are in the house? Hands up. Yeah, we're way cooler than you guys. We're accountants. Yeah, we're accountants. And we serve companies big and small. There's a lot of our clients in the room. We serve everything from hospitals to breweries. In fact, some of the sponsors of this event are clients of ours, and we're really excited to work with them. We're headquartered in Portland, where we've been since our inception back in the late 90s, although we do have offices in New Hampshire and downtown Boston. And I think we're a pretty decent-sized firm. We've got about 250 employees, which makes us a large regional firm. But it also puts us in the top 100 for accounting firms in the country. And that's something we're really, really proud of. So we are an accounting firm. We do tax returns. We do audits. But that's not who we are. There's a lot of firms that do audits. There's a lot of firms that do tax returns. Heck, you can go to H&R Block and get a tax return done. And I suspect many of you actually sat in your living room doing tax returns, crunching away at them last April, trying to get something filed. And if you filed a return, you've got a couple more weeks before that's due, so you may be crunching away still. The difference between us and everybody else is our people. We want to be the first person our clients call when they face a challenging issue. We want to be that trusted advisor who works with them through everything. Why is that? Because we have people that bring value to our clients and to the organizations we work with. It's the core of who we are. So whether we're working with our clients in small businesses and large companies throughout Maine and New England, or we're privileged to work with the United Way and the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital on childhood education, BNN is all about the value that we bring to our people. That's really at the core of who we are. We believe this so strongly that we've incorporated community service and support into everything we do. So let me give you a few examples of those things, right? So every May, I think it's in May, we've got a 3-day internship for college sophomores and juniors. One of those 3 days is spent doing community service. Whenever we hire a new professional, part of their orientation is a day of community service. And when employees of BNN, Baker Newman Noyes, when we get to our second anniversary, the firm makes a contribution to the charity of the individual's choice. And so that starts what we feel is a long-term commitment to the community that continues throughout the length of their career with us. Organizationally, we are so proud to work with United Way and Barbara Bush Children's Hospital, furthering childhood education. It's something that we're very, very proud of and very excited to begin working on them with. So who is BNN and what are we truly? We're a team of caring professionals who work with our clients and we serve the community. We're proud to be in Portland and proud to work with all of you in all of those efforts. We'd like to thank all of you for coming to Kegs and Issues, not just this one, but all season long. BNN is really proud to be the sponsor tonight. and I'm sure I share your excitement about listening to the upcoming speaker. James Morin is a Maine native, a UMaine grad, and the co-founder of Flowfold. He's also served on UMaine's Alumni Association Board of Directors. He's the active chair and founder of the UMaine Black Bears of Portland and on the board of advisors for the newly formed Maine Outdoor Brands. In his day job, James is his COO and co-founder at a company that gets what Maine startups and environmentally responsible culture is about. Flowfold was founded in 2010 on Peaks Island and built on a legacy of Maine craftsmanship. Every year, Flowfold recycles thousands of yards of non-biodegradable material, creating outdoor-inspired lifestyle gear that won't let their customers or the plant down. Without further ado, welcome James Morin.
Oh, thanks, guys. Wow, this stage is more intense than I thought. I don't get nervous very often, but this, I feel like I should be playing an instrument or singing or something, but trust me, I can't sing, so this is better for everybody involved. No, it's great to be here. I want to thank everyone for coming, and not just because I like attention, which I do, but because Propel's mission is to create an environment in Maine where young professionals and young businesses can thrive, and I think that's really important to support. So I think that's all something that you guys should be proud of, because by coming here, you are supporting the Portland Chamber and Propel. As far as me being here, I still have to question Dan and Ben a little bit as to why they invited us and Flowfold and myself to speak. You can look up here, that's Ben Shaw. Ben Shaw was the last speaker, and he was up here talking about like a $2.2 billion merger with Henry Schein and how he was going to create the biggest publicly traded company in Maine. And just so there's no delusions of grandeur, I'm not going to create the biggest publicly traded company in Maine. And I remember the call with Dan. I was like, hey, guys, like are you sure you want me for Kegs and Issues and not like a junior version, like a Capri Sun and Issues or something like that? And of course, they said all the right things, and they said no, we're about all types of businesses, young and old and exciting, and Flowfold is an exciting business. But there's truth behind the joke in the sense that I'm certainly not Ben Shaw, and Flowfold is certainly not Vet's first choice. And we have different definitions of success, and we have different definitions of what our truth is. And I think that's a good segue for what I want to talk to you guys about tonight. In general, I'm going to keep this pretty high level. I made a joke on social media that this wasn't going to be the 5 key strategies you can use to grow your e-commerce business. It isn't going to be how millennials are changing the face of retail. If you want to know those things, I'm happy to talk about them off stage. And as far as e-commerce growth is concerned, Devin McNeil is here, and he's grown our Amazon business by about 100% over the last couple of months. So he'll talk your ear off about that stuff. I'm talking about the high-level stuff for a couple of reasons. One, I don't know what types of businesses you're all part of. I don't know what you want to do in your life, so I'm hoping that these sort of nuggets will be relevant to more people. And then 2, just selfishly, it's more fun to talk about these types of things. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about 3 things I'd like you to think about from a business perspective, and then 3 things I'd like you to think about from a personal perspective, and also with the state of Maine in mind. But I suppose I should briefly tell you a little bit about Flowfold and why we are here and why Dan thought it was an exciting company in the first place. And I'll spare you all the boilerplate mission and vision statements and customer value propositions and make it really kind of crystal clear. This right here is what started Flowfold. This wallet is 10 years old. I forget every time I open it that I used to have a mullet. That's embarrassing. But this wallet is was probably one of the first wallets that Charlie made. Quick correction, Devin and Charlie are the 2 co-founders of Flowfold, and I am one of the owners, and I'm fortunate about that, but they really took the leap back in 2010 to get this thing off the ground. But what's exciting is that in 2005, Charlie was working in a sale loft, and when his old leather wallet fell apart, he grabbed some sailcloth out of a trash can, and he made himself a new one. And what's beautiful about that to me even today is that although we have changed so much, now we're in 8 countries, and Tokyo is probably going to be our fastest growing market outside of the U.S., and we have 120 stores across the U.S. now, and relationships with some of the bigger retailers and more respected retailers in the country, like L.L.Bean and Urban Outfitters. But at its core, at our essence, we haven't strayed too far away from that single wallet made out of scrap material. This idea of wanting to make products that were more durable and more functional is still at the very foundation of our company today. And we're no longer a wallet company. We want to be a company that makes the most durable, the most sustainable, and the most functional products on the planet. And yes, we are that serious. But what happened from 2005 and today is your quintessential broken, stoked entrepreneurial story. We sold wallets out of the trunks of our car. We sold wallets for beer money. It was a hobby for a really long time. We raised a little bit of money. We got our first big break with LL Bean. Hat tip to those guys. We slowly scaled, and here we are today. We're no longer making wallets in Charlie's mom's basement. In fact, I've been hinting at this for a couple weeks, but I'm really excited. The people in this room are the first to hear this. Flowfold, as of 10/1, as of Monday at 9 a.m., we're officially closing on our new headquarters. We have purchased a 7,500 square foot building in Gorham Industrial Park, and we'll be moving there as soon as we possibly can. So, thank you. The future of Flowfold starts now. I've never been more excited about our organization. We already have jobs posted. If you saw our office in Scarborough, it was perfectly Flowfold. 3 office dogs. We were doubled up in rooms. There was 90 degrees one moment, 30 degrees the next. But that's how we started. But I am excited to grow. I am excited to grow in Gorham. But it's important to talk about like how we got there. And these aren't things that I would necessarily think that we excel in, but they are certainly things that we have embraced. They're things that we know are going to be important to our growth moving forward. And the first is around authenticity. The truth is undefeated, okay? And when it comes to authenticity, I actually can't sit up here, I'm sorry, Dan, I can't sit up here and preach about authenticity in this monkey suit, because anyone that knows anything about me knows that this is not my true self. I am much more in the fan of the Tahiti Blue Flowfold t-shirt, which I have become known for. So we're going to become authentic here. This is my true authentic self, and I can't go on without getting to this point. So there we go. Now I feel significantly better. I'm sorry, I broke the rules. Okay, now we're good. But authenticity. When it comes to your business, my favorite quote from Steve Jobs is when he's talking about marketing and how marketing is about values. It's a noisy world, it's a complex world, and we're not going to be able to get the chance for our customers to know everything about us. So we have to be extremely clear on what we want them to know. Now, there's a lot that's going on in that one statement. You need to be clear about your messaging and your content and all of different touch points and your pathways for distributing information. But more importantly to me, that's about having an authentic voice. The easiest way to be clear about what your customers know about you is to be authentic. And at some point, you need to take a stance. I'm going to give you 2 examples. One with Flowfold. In the end of 2016, I met the most unbelievable woman I've ever met in my life. Her name was Adele, and she was the founder of Women United Around the World. Women United Around the World is a local nonprofit organization that trains women refugees how to sew so they can find gainful employment, but also gain some confidence. We knew at Flowfold that this was this was in our DNA. This was part of our core values. We strive to support our local community in any way, shape, and form that we can, and we also do our best. We have a platform, and we do our best to try to make our company, Maine, and the industry in general as inclusive and as diverse as we possibly can. So we came up with the idea. I think Max is in the room. She's a rock star, and she came up with a very simple, elegant design for a handbag, for a cross-shoulder bag. We donated the patterns to them and all of the materials, and we said, during your process, during your training, during your teaching, you can make these bags. Here's the material. We will completely empower you to choose the colors that you want to make your own individual bag. What we'll do is we'll sell them on our website, and we'll donate 100% of the sales back to Women United Around the World so we can continue this process. It completely caught me off guard how successful this was. It was the most successful campaign we've ever run as a company. We sold out within 48 hours. We barely promoted it. And we had over 180 people since then submit emails asking us for when the product was going to be back in stock. At the end of the day, we chose to do this because we felt like it was the right thing to do. And the right thing to do is always the right thing to do. But I'm gonna add a caveat with example number 2. You can no longer just do the right thing anymore. You do need to let your audience and your customers know how you're making the world a better place. They demand that from us. A recent study that I read showed that 81% of people expect brands to be completely transparent on social media. That's a higher expectation than they have for their politicians, for their friends and their family, and even themselves. Which means they hold brands at a higher level and higher expectation than the people running our country. I know millennials are a buzzword, but they are an important buzzword right now. They make up a huge buying group. And 60% of millennials self-identify as value-driven buyers, meaning they have either purposely stopped or started using a brand because of their ethics. Now, by now, you've all heard of or seen the Colin Kaepernick ad, and I'm not going to stand up here and tell you about how I feel about kneeling during the national anthem. That's not the point. The point is that Nike took a stance. Nike looked at their customer base. Nike looked at their audience. Nike looked within and figured out, what is our DNA? What is our authentic voice? And they decided, what most people don't understand is that, in my opinion, Nike isn't a shoe and t-shirt business. Nike is in the hero business. And they chose a hero. And we can debate the merits of that choice all day long, but at the end of the day, Colin Kaepernick was the hero, the face of the ad, and it worked. Social media mentions skyrocketed by 1,400% the day after the ad came out, and online sales have increased by 31%, even with some negative pushback around the ad. They took a stance. It doesn't matter how small or how big you are. If you take a stance, if you have authenticity in your voice and in your messaging, you will succeed and you will win. When you talk about growth, the other thing I want you to think about when it comes to your business is, how can you growth hack your business, growth hack your industry? Growth hacking, the technical term, is rapid experimentation, whether it's in sales funnels or marketing development plans or business development, to quickly analyze and evaluate the most fast and efficient way to grow your business. Blah, blah, blah. Growth hacking to me is thinking differently. Growth hacking to me is taking initiative. Growth hacking to me is being a counterpuncher. There's not a better example for Flowfold than our new collab collection with LL Bean. Kurt couldn't make it because he had a late meeting at LL Bean, but we walked into Kurt's office and we basically had the gumption, the gall to say, we want to put our brand on your products. We want to make a collection and we want our brand to be with your brand on these products. And that wasn't necessarily an easy thing to do, but we didn't just ask for a handout, we told them why. We drew inspiration from the fashion industry, whether you're looking at Supreme or the skate industry or shoes with Adidas and Yeezy. We knew that collabs were working, and the cost of customer acquisition is so high, the world is so noisy, as Steve Jobs had so astutely put, that we need to figure out a way to separate ourselves. And the fact of the matter is, when you look at our collab with LL Bean, it's a beautiful pairing because it takes things that are completely different. You have LL Bean, which is familiar, respected, over 100 years in the industry. It's got the distribution. And then you have Flowfold, which is novel. And it has the content and the story, and all of our romantic stories are happening right now. And when you combine those two things, that's when you can create something that's really special. And I think when it comes to growth hacking and being a counterpuncher, I'll give you another very good example. Right now, in 2017, $70 billion was spent on TV ads. $70 billion of mostly big companies trying to get your attention on TV. Now, assuming you're even watching live TV anymore, which is very infrequent, right? Hulu and Netflix and Amazon Prime. But assuming you are, what do you do when the commercial comes up? You grab this thing, right? This is where you want to get your content. So eventually, that's $70 billion. They're going to get smart enough, and they're going to figure it out, and they're going to move it towards other marketing channels. And what that's going to do is it's going to drive those costs of those ads up. And I'll take it one step further. If you're looking at e-commerce ads in general, Google had about $60 billion in advertisement. $60 billion. Facebook had $27 billion. But Amazon had only $4.5 billion in ad spend. Yet Amazon owns first product searches. People are going to Amazon and using it as a search engine to find products that they want to buy, yet only 5% of the total ad spend is being put on Amazon. And if you're a counterpuncher, if you're a growth hacker, then what you're going to do is you're going to figure out a way to take advantage of that because the math doesn't line up. Quite frankly, if you have a product that can be sold on Amazon and it's not being sold on Amazon, you're doing yourself, your company, a disservice, and you're costing yourself money. The third thing I want to talk to you about when it comes to your business is your team. Your team matters. It's the most obvious, but it's also the most important because it's the only reason why I'm here today is because of the Flowfold team. I couldn't sit here or stand here and talk to you about authenticity and growth and all the things that we're doing with LL Bean if I didn't have the best team on the planet, and from top to bottom, there's not a single team that I would trust more than the Flowfold team, period. And the reason is very simple, because if you look at the team, I absolutely want nothing to do with what Devin and Charlie are doing for work. They are masters at what they do, and they're much better at it than I am. And I think if you ask them the same thing, they probably wouldn't want to be up here, right? So I think what the key to having a good team, an effective team, is balance. I don't care where you look. I don't care what reports you read. A more diverse team outperforms a less diverse team, whether that's age, ethnicity, nationality, social status, sexual orientation. It doesn't matter. A more diverse team will outperform a less diverse team every day of the week. So even if you don't have a team, even if you don't have a leadership team, even if you want to start your own business and you want to go out on your own and you're by yourself, then my recommendation to you is to go get a board of advisors, get mentors, get champions. But whoever you get, surround yourself with people who think differently than you, have a different skill set than you. Because that's going to be the key to growing your business. So the next part I want to talk, that's the business stuff. The next stuff I want to talk to you about is slightly more on the main and personal side. And as a result, it's really not coming so much from Flowfold as it's coming from me personally. So I'm going to have to do quickly another wardrobe change, if you will. Just one moment. Maybe a mic problem. How's the hair? The hair good? The hair okay? All right. So I will explain this t-shirt, but in my opinion, the future is female. But before I get into that, and this is a medium, it's very tight, and I'm sorry about that. Before I get into exactly what I mean by this and why I'm wearing it, I do want to say one thing very crystal clear. I'm turning 31 in 4 days. More than welcome to wish me happy birthday. That's totally fine after the fact. But no, I don't have it all figured out, guys. I really obviously don't. And I certainly don't mean to patronize you. So, but I have learned some things, and I have learned some things through some fairly chaotic moments in my life, and I'm sharing them with you, as cheesy as this sounds, because I appreciate every single one of you in this room right now. And for those of you who have come directly to support me, thank you very much, or support Flowfold, that's fantastic. There's some of you who have probably just come to support Propel or the Chamber, and quite frankly, maybe some of you just came for the free drinks, which that jives with me too. So in any way, I value every single person that's here. And so take this with a grain of salt. These are my thoughts and my opinions, but I'm going to ask three things of the audience and three things of myself personally. This isn't a pass on me. But the first is that we should all strive to create a place where Maine is a welcome and equitable place. And that's why I'm wearing this shirt. I don't know if you saw recently a Portland Press Herald article that showed that there was 46,500 women-owned businesses in Maine. That accounted for 51,600 jobs and $13.8 billion in annual revenue. Now, little did I know that between 2007 and 2018, not a single other state in the country had more growth in women-owned businesses and more growth in revenue from those businesses than the state of Maine. That's awesome. That's a win for us. But although the future may be female, the future is making less money. According to stats that were recently published by Maine Biz, the average woman in Maine is making 84 cents for every dollar paid to a man. If you add that up over the course of a year, that's $8,000. That's food, that's groceries, that's rent, that's mortgage payments, that's down payments on a car, that's childcare, that's tuition payments. $8,000 is not an inconsequential amount of money. We can do better. And we need to close the gap. And it's not just about female equality. If you remember, I talked about diverse teams. This is actually fairly difficult for me to talk about. It can be uncomfortable, and it should be uncomfortable. But I was at Starbucks the other day, and I overheard two middle-aged women talking, and they were talking about a bag company, a local bag company that I actually happen to hold in high regard. And one was talking to the other about why she refuses to buy from them because she finds it disingenuous that they say their bags are made in America and made by immigrants. And listen, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and I wasn't there to debate her, I was there to get a coffee. But it's sad, and this is why I'm encouraging everybody internally to just evaluate our own potentially implicit biases that we may have, and then maybe also be there to help other people with theirs. It's sad to me then and now that her definition of immigrant was not American to the point where she couldn't even buy the handbags. But for me, immigrant means 72% of our population growth in the greater Portland area. Young population. To me, immigrant is 6% of all STEM jobs being filled. To me, immigrant means 37% having a college education or higher compared to 30% for USA born. To me, immigrant means $1.2 billion in economic input in just greater Portland. To me, immigrant is fucking American. And I'm sorry, Dan, for swearing. I wasn't supposed to swear. I get jazzed up here. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You can't be pro-Maine and be against gender equality and immigration, period. And I think that we can all do better on that. And speaking of pro-Maine, I think that the next thing is, Maine, one of the greatest things about Maine, and in my opinion, is how humble and hardworking we are. It's part of our heritage. Both my sets of grandparents worked in the mills in Lewiston, and it's something that I was reminded about constantly. But like anything else, humble is best in moderation. So what I'm going to ask all of us is to be humble, but don't guilt yourself or others into moderation. And I say that because there's plenty of people, when I cashed out of Putney and left Putney and decided to jump on board as co-owner of Flowfold, that really disapproved of the idea. Said things like there's no need for another wallet company, right? The world doesn't need another wallet company. Maybe not. But the world needs more people doing things that they're passionate about. And it's not just me. My good friend Owen McCarthy, who I'm not sure if he was able to make it today because he was down in Boston. He's co-founder of MedRhythms, and they just oversubscribed on their A round and raised $5 million. If you are here, Owen, congratulations. I love you, buddy. But he had to last summer, he had to have a bridge round. He had to raise about $500,000 to get him to the point where he could raise his A. And when he went and talked to people in Maine, he had about 4 months, and they all said the same exact thing. They said, why $500,000? Can you get away with $250,000? Can you get a developmental loan from MTI? Can you just raise $200,000? We just don't think you have the time to raise the $500,000. Set realistic expectations. But then when Owen went to his network and his colleagues in Philadelphia or Boston or New York or West Coast, they asked him the same question. They asked, why 500,000? But then they asked him, why not $1 million? Why not just jump to your A round? Do you believe in what you're doing? Are you passionate in what you're doing? And I'm not encouraging people to make poor business investments or risky behaviors necessarily, but I am encouraging all of us to support each other, to push each other. And at times, that means we have to collectively embrace failure a little bit, because there are worse things in this world than going through chapter 11. Which is a good segue to the third thing that I was hoping to talk to you guys about today, which is probably the most personal for me. I'd like us to all reassess risk, reassess success, and reassess happiness. And I'm going to give you 2 dates. They're the 2 worst days of my life in order to make these points. The first is August 23rd, 2015. And it was single-handedly the worst day of my personal life for reasons that are very much my own and between my family. Everything that I knew completely changed on that day. But since then I've said that was the chaos that was necessary to create change in my life. That was the catalyst for me to reevaluate what risk was. Because what is risk? When you're thinking about risk, whether you want to go start something or whether you want to leave your company, is risk leaving a corporate job for a startup? Is risk taking a pay cut at the age of 45? Is risk losing your 401k? Is risk being feared of failure by your colleagues, your significant other, or your parents? It certainly was risk for me before August 23rd, 2015. But then when my life fell apart as I knew it, I realized something, that you take risk. You take personal risk every single day of your life. We've all experienced hardships. I'm sure we have, and if we haven't, then the odds are you're going to. Risk is heartbreak. Risk is you or your family members or your loved ones getting sick, getting injured, getting cancer, dying. That's risk. And I don't mistake this for negativity. I'm not trying to bring everybody down here. I want to have fun. But you have to understand how liberating it is for me now after going through that. There's absolutely nothing that can happen at Flowfold that will ever be as bad as what happened on August 23rd, 2015. So for the first time ever, now I have freedom. And when you can sort of accept, and I mean really genuinely accept the frailty of life, well, now all of a sudden risk has a different definition. And your barriers to go over those risky things have just been significantly lowered. The second date is April 22nd, 2016. Not even a year after the worst day of my personal life came the worst day of my career, when Putney sold for $200 million. And I know that sounds ass backwards, but let me explain. In 2013, I joined Putney young and dumb, and I knew that they had VC money. They had raised about $40 million, I think at the time, in venture capital money. And anybody that knows about VC money, you know that the clock starts ticking. As soon as there's one investment, you got about 3 or 5 years before the VCs want to cash out. So I joined. I'm like, I'm along for the ride. I don't really care what I do. You can make me the janitor. You can make me an inside sales rep. It doesn't really matter. I want to be part of the company, and every single review I get, I'm going to ask for stock options. I'm not going to ask for salary. And that's because I was thinking about the future. I was thinking about the sale. And along the way, all I was really enjoying was every other Friday when I was getting paid and the thought of the outcome of the sale. Now, I don't regret necessarily the people that I met. Drew Hamlin is here. He's one of my closest friends. I love the guy to death. I worked under Jean Hoffman, who was an incredible business mind and in general an incredible woman. She cut every single person. I don't know if everyone knows this, but she cut every single person that worked at the company a check for the maximum allowable that you couldn't get taxed on. It was like $14,000 and change. She gave everybody a check. That was out of her proceeds from the sale. I don't regret those things, but I do regret waking up every single day thinking 3 years ahead. I do regret not enjoying the process. Because when the company sold on that date, April 22nd, 2016, I realized now all of a sudden that there was no light at the end of the tunnel. They wanted to keep me on board. Meanwhile, I was begging, I was hoping that they were just going to fire me because I didn't have the courage to leave and pursue something that I wanted to. Fortunately, for me, I just experienced the worst day of my life about 8 months ago, and now I have a new definition of success, which is figuring out a way to enjoy the process, and so I bailed. And I started up with Flowfold full time, and it's been the best decision, obviously, that I've ever made in my life. And I may not be truly happy. I joked about therapy, but I do go to therapy. I still talk about these things. I am type A. I do take things personally. I don't have it all figured out. But I certainly know a couple things that don't make me happy, and I'm going to start there. There's absolutely zero correlation between money and happiness for me. None. And also, I spent 3 years chasing a carrot just to get there on April 22nd and realized I don't even like carrots. So I figured that out at least. And I figured out that I'm going to try to enjoy the process. And believe it or not, I'm not speaking in hyperbole here. I have never had more confidence in the Flowfold team and our Flowfold company. We're growing. We're going to move soon. I'm excited as hell. But if we were to go through bankruptcy tomorrow and I would sign those papers, I'd be happier that day than when I signed the papers on my stock options when Putney sold. Because at least I could go home that night and lay my head on the pillow and know that every single day I went into work excited about what we were trying to build. Every single day I went into work excited about what impact we could make on our community. And we could hire and we could make you all proud and we could make Maine proud. That's all I really want to do. And if it doesn't work out, then who the hell cares? I mean, I wanted to, but at least I'm enjoying the process along the way, and that's happiness for me. So if you take absolutely nothing else away from me tonight, and I know I've way overstayed my time, but if you take absolutely nothing else, forget about the authenticity and Colin Kaepernick and LL Bean and growth hacking, and forget about all of it. If you can just go home and do whatever it is that you do. I'm a bath guy, so I go home, take a bath, have a glass of wine. I'm totally fine with admitting that. Whatever. All right, do your thing, find your little place of peace, and evaluate what is it that makes you happy? What is your process? And if that process is broken, then really my encouragement to you, I'm imploring you to try to figure out how to fix that process. And it doesn't have to be your career. If you're lucky enough to have kids, if you're lucky enough to have someone that you love and your process is around building that relationship, then fine, focus on that process. But my only ask of you guys tonight is that you do find that process, and my only hope is that you find happiness in that process. That is pretty much everything I had to say. I will be back, I think, on October 30th, and where I'm having a lot of fun doing a Spark event, or Battle of the Bosses, and we're going to be donating a lot of money to a lot of good causes, assuming I win. I'm going to try real hard. That's October 30th, and then I think I'm supposed to get Quincy back up here. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you.
James, that was great. It was such fun to have your energy on the stage, and clearly your passion for what you do and for the people you do it with shows. So thank you. Another round of applause, please, for James. And I want both of those t-shirts. That would be great. So one last thing stands between you and another drink at the bar, but it's fun. I'd love to invite Adam Goldberg up from the Maine Mariners.
Thank you, Quincy, and thank you to the Chamber. You guys have been so great to us since we announced the team was coming about 14 or 15 months ago. It's been a long journey. We are excited to have hockey back in Portland. Through the process, I've had a bunch of people come up to me and say, thank you for bringing hockey back to Portland. And I know this is gonna sound like the corniest thing ever, but it has nothing to do with us. We were just hired to do a job. It was you guys that brought hockey back to Portland with the desire and the passion to have hockey back here. So as we approach opening night in 2.5 weeks, October 13th, it's just a culmination of a lot of work. Our staff has worked their tails off. We've had such great support from like I said, the Chamber, local businesses, and we are just so happy to start up. So is there anybody that has never been to a hockey game here? Great, okay. Pretty much nobody. I was gonna say, use me as an example. I didn't like hockey until I started working it. But my completely unbiased opinion is it is the best live sport you can go to. So I certainly would suggest that you come check out a Mariners game throughout the season. Also, we've got great options if you're a national anthem singer, if you play an instrument, if you want to, if you have got color guard or a scout at home, we've got great options there. So please get some details from the Mariners staff over here to stage, I don't know what side that is, but that stage there. And thank you so much. And we want to make sure that the Chamber is properly outfitted for the season. So I wanted to present Quincy with a Mariners jersey.
Well, until I get the Future is Female t-shirt, I will be wearing this. So with that wraps up our evening. A special thanks again to James, for Baker Newman Noise, for their sponsorship of tonight's event, for the Maine Mariners. Please stick around, enjoy another drink, and we'll see you back here in December.